Today we are going to see structures in C. As all of you know that arrays are used to store several items of the same kind with a single name. But the structure is again another user-defined data type which is used to combine the data types of different kinds. So the structures are used to represent one single record like a patient record, health record, or any other employee record, all such things where each data element is of different data type. Suppose you want to keep track of your books in a library, you may require to track the attributes of each of the book like title, author, subject, book ID. Now coming to what is a structure. So a structure is a keyword which is used to create user-defined data type in C. So a structure creates a data type which can be used to group the items of possibly different types into a single type. Examples of the structures are book containing the attributes author, title, price, year, city containing the attributes name, country, population, time containing the attributes seconds, minutes and hours, date containing the attributes day, month and year. Now let us see how to create a structure. So as I told, struct keyword is used to create the structure. So example, suppose I have a structure called point which contains two integer variables x and y. Then the definition of the structure point will goes like this: struct point opening curly bracket, the members of the point structure variable which are integer x comma y. So close the flap bracket and you write one name of the structure variable here P1. So P1 is a point of structure data type containing the variables x and y. Now this can also be done by writing in a separate statements. Like first I can define the structure point. So this struct point which contains integer x comma y and has to be terminated by semicolon. Now here it just specify point is a new data type like integer, float and all. So it will not be allocating any memory when you are writing in this fashion. And inside the main sub, I want to create a variable of the kind point. Then I had to make use of struct point which is a name for the structure which contains x and y and followed by the name of the variable. So when you write struct point P1, then only the memory will be allocated for P1. So now this P1 contains x as well as y. That is, to define a structure, we have to use the keyword struct. And the struct statement, it defines a new data type with more than one member. The format of the struct statement is struct. This is the name of the structure variable which is an optional one, and opening bracket and member definition. So which indicates the data type followed by the variable. Data type followed by the variable terminated by the flap bracket. And this is again optional. One or more structure variables can be declared and terminated by semicolon. And here the structure tag is optional and each member definition is a normal variable definition such as integer I, float f or any other variable type. At the end of the structure definition, before the final semicolon, we can specify one or more structure variables, but again it is optional. So here we can see the example for the books. Struct books and books containing the title, author, subject. So since we know that title is a character array which is a string, so it has been declared here as char title of 50 and char author of 50, char subject of 100, and book ID which will be an integer is written by int book ID. And close the function, the structure definition followed by the structure variable name which is book here. So now we can access a book has all these members, that is title, author, subject and book ID. Now we'll see how to declare the structure variable. So structure variable can either be declared with the structure declaration or as a separate declaration like basic data type. So that is for employees, employee struct employee containing employee ID, name, salary, address, department number, age. So each of these members has to be preceded by the data type, and it has to be terminated by the semicolon. Here this employee is just a template. It's like a new variable name, new variable. So now if you want to create a structure called my structure. So structure, my structure, which contains integer, my num, character, my letters. So my structure is a new structure data type which contains my num and my letter. In the main, if you want to create a my structure variable, then you have to do structure, my structure, S1. So now S1 is a structure variable of type my structure. So as my structure members are all available to S1. So if I want to initialize the members of S1, I have to do S1 dot my num equal to, what's the value I want to initialize? Here I have initialized to 13, and S1 dot my letter is equal to character, because it's declared as a character. It has to be enclosed in a single quotes. Here it is initialized to B. If I want to print the members of this S1, I have to write S1 dot my num, S1 dot my letter. So far we have seen how to declare and declare the structure variable and define the structure definition. So now we'll see how to initialize the members of the structure. So the structure members cannot be initialized along with the declaration. So it means so following, if you observe structure point integer x equal to 0 and integer y equal to 0. So this I cannot do it. So this is because the point is just, it creates a template. So the reason for this error is because the data type is declared. When the data type is declared, so no memory is allocated. So memory is allocated only when the variables are created. So the structure members can be initialized using the curly braces. Suppose, for example, here structure point which contains the members integer x, comma integer y, and inside the main, so I have to write structure point p1 which is equal to 0, comma 1. Now how to access the structure members or the elements of the structure variable? So the structure members are accessed using the dot operator. So example, if you see structure point integer xy, and inside the main structure point p1 which is equal to 0, 1. Again here, if you are writing initialize values as 0, 1, it initializes 0 to x and 1 to y. So now if you want to assign some other values for that, so I can write explicitly p1 dot x equal to 20, and if I print x equals to p1 dot x and y equals to p1 dot y, then it is going to print p1 dot x value is 20 and p1 dot y value is 1. So this we can just execute and see. So now you can observe here I have defined a structure point which contains integer x, comma y, and there is no variable declaration here. So it just creates a template point, so which contains x and y. Now inside the main I have created a structure variable p1 using struct point p1, and I want to initialize the members to 0 and 1, which is done by equal to opening flat bracket 0, comma 1, closing flat bracket, and terminated by semicolon. So now if I want to modify the value of p1 dot x, I have to write p1 dot x equals to whatever the value I want to initialize. Here I have initialized to 20. So printing the values of x and y of p1, it is done by printf x equals to %d, y equals to %d, p1 dot x and p2 dot p1 dot y. So you can observe x will be printed 20 and y will be printed as 1. Now we'll see what is called as designated initialization. Designated initialization, it allows the structure members to be initialized in any order. So, example, suppose again a structure point integer x, y, z, and inside the main I have created two structure variables p1 and p2 by using struct point p1, struct point p2, and suppose I want to initialize the values 0, 1 and 2 to y, z and x. I have to write it as dot y equals to 0, comma dot z equals to 1 and dot x equals to 2. And for p2, if I want to initialize only the x value, so then I have to write dot x equals to 20. And if I want to print those elements of p1 and p2, I am writing printf statements accordingly. So now we'll run this and verify the output. So now you can observe here, if I run it, so you'll be observing that p1.x is 22 and p1.y is 0 and p1.z is 1. And p2 we have initialized only x. So p2.x will be whatever the value we have initialized, and we have initialized to 20, which we can observe here.